Welcome to this week's Authors Love Readers podcast, where we delve into the stories behind the stories. We're asking authors questions, some of them fun, some of them serious, and from their answers, you're going to learn things you never knew about the people who write the stories you love. My name is Patricia McLinn. I'm your host and designated question asker.
I'm Jean Brashear, and I'm an author who loves readers.
Now, let's start the show. Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of Authors Love Reader podcast. I am here today with Jean Brashear, who is one of my best writing buddies. I think that's safe to say. And I often, Jean, tell people how long we've known each other, and I don't know. A long time.
A long time. Longer than we probably want to say.
Since we were little bitty toddlers.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Which was only 15 years ago.
And we were toddlers. We are just coming along so well. So we have, we have to have known each other. Yeah, I would think we've known each other at least 20 years. Oh, yeah. Anyhow, we've known each other quite a while. And I will let Jean say what she writes.
I write contemporary romance. A great deal of it is set in Texas, although not all. I sometimes write romantic suspense, but what I mostly write that readers seem to really cotton to is small town romance.
Did you come from a small town?
I did.
Ah, okay.
Not as small as most of the towns that I write, but yes.
Do you borrow things from that?
I try not to borrow things from anything or anyone I know, but occasionally I will put kind of an homage to someone beloved, who's passed on or things like that, a pet that I loved or things like that. But I very seldom borrow from real life. Saying that, however, this little town, Sweetgrass Springs, that's the most popular of my small towns, has a decommissioned county courthouse as the center of their town square, and it's being utilized for other purposes. This little lady who owned a cafe and is trying to keep the town alive bought this a number of years ago. And I did take that directly from fact. I went to a small town called Blanco, Texas, and they have a decommissioned courthouse, meaning that the county seat was moved to another town. And I was just so intrigued by the fact that there was this courthouse that was in private hands that I did use that, I will confess.
Down near me has the old courthouse, the old new courthouse, and the new courthouse.
Yes.
And they're all within like a block and a half of each other. But none of them, as far as I know, are in private hands at this point.
Yeah.
But I got to use that at some point. So, okay. Do you have any strong fears? And do you use those in books?
I am afraid of heights. I make myself do it, but it takes my breath away. I don't know if I've ever used it in a book, though. But that's really about you know what I am really afraid of is having my face covered. I used to tell my mother I wondered if maybe somebody tried to smother me in my sleep when I was a baby or something because I was obnoxious. I don't know. But given that she was a super sweet woman, I'm sort of doubting it. I don't know why, but I am a little pathological about having my face covered. But I don't think I've used that either. Isn't that funny?
That's really interesting. I've discovered doing yoga that I don't like to have my face like down on the mat. I'm fine with having being on my back and having something cover my face, but I don't like that down all the way down. Yeah, where they say, okay, now this is really relaxing. I'm going, no, it's not.
No, it's not. I'm not relaxed at all.
What's your favorite taste, Jean?
Taste? Well, definitely chocolate. I'd have to say creamy or not. I don't like sicky sweet though, all that much.
So would you go dark chocolate over milk chocolate?
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you have a favorite spice?
No, I use a lot of them, and I know.
What's the weirdest one you use?
Well, weirdest. You know, I've never understood the big deal about saffron, not because it's weird so much as I don't notice that it makes that important a taste. And that probably means I'm a Philistine, and I'm actually a very good cook, but I for some reason I just don't understand what the big deal is. Clearly, I need a further education in saffron.
Can you remember a specific book or a few books from your childhood that really got you turned on to story?
The Oz books. I read all the
I
Oz
did
books.
too.
I love those.
A lot of people
much.
don't know there were multiples.
Yeah.
You know, there's more than the, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And Trixie Belden. I used to read Trixie Belden too.
Okay. I read a few of those. I had back to back, I think it was measles, and then I had mumps.
Oh boy!
And I was back at school for a day in between. I was in second grade, and my sister
Sorry,
was
don't
home
mean
from.
to laugh at your misfortune, but
Yeah, I think the misfortune was really my mom.
I was just thinking, really, it was your mother we should be feeling sorry for.
But my sister was home from college on spring break, and she read many of those Oz books to me.
Oh, neat.
Aloud. Yeah. Well, her alternative was cleaning, so she liked it better too.
Yes, when I had the measles, I have had a younger brother and sister. We lived out in the country, and we got snowed in. My father got trapped in town and could not get out to there for 3 days. My mother is stuck in a house with 3 kids with the measles. You're supposed to keep things dark, to keep their eyes from being hurt. Twice a day, she'd have to shovel her way out to the barn to milk. And by the time she got ready to come back in, it had all drifted in again. And and she had to melt snow because the well froze for water. And what did we do but sit around and go, I'm going to go out and play in the snow. Bless her heart.
Gosh. Okay, let's see. What other fun things? Oh, we're talking about your folks. Do you have any sayings that your mother or father used to say that now you hear coming out of your mouth?
Wow. I'm sure I do, but not nearly as many as I used to when I was raising my children. That's always shocking when all of a sudden something you heard your parents say comes popping out of your mouth. But the main thing, not that my mother ever said this, but she lived this. Her whole mantra in life was cheerfulness is a choice. And she went through a lot of bad things in her life, and she always lived up to that and inspired me to believe that's how you need to conduct yourself. You can choose how you face the world and how you face other people and what kind of impact you have on other people. And I to this day, I'm very inspired by her and try really hard to live up to that.
Okay, I have this strange little desert island. Because it allows you to play movies, but it only allows you to play 3 movies forevermore. You can't play any other movie. So you get to take 3 movies with you, or select 3 movies on the desert island. Which 3 are you going to watch?
Ooh. Can I count the whole Lord of the Rings trilogy as one?
You are not the first one to try to wheedle that in. So.
Oh gosh!
Yeah. Okay.
I've seen all of them so many times. I probably got those memorized.
If somebody asked me this question after listening to all the writers sliding around the rules, I'm going to say, okay, my first choice are all Cary Grant's movies.
Yeah, not a bad deal. Wow, I'm drawing a total blank on movies that I love. Shawshank Redemption is one that I love. But again, I've seen it 111 times. Wow. I'm trying to think what else. Well, I know it's kind of weird, but actually like the Marvel movies too.
Yeah, you cannot take all the Marvel movies.
I can't take all the.
No, that doesn't count as one.
Let's see. I should say something really arty, I'm sure, but.
And I was thinking about, you're talking about seeing Shawshank Redemption so many times. And I tend to think that if I don't want to rewatch a movie over and over and over, it's not a great movie. But there are, in fact, a few movies that I thought were really good that I don't ever want to see again.
Like,
Ordinary People is the one that comes to mind.
Oh yeah, that was
immediately.
so good. But yeah, you're right. There's some things you just don't know if you can survive living through again.
Saving Private Ryan.
Yes, although I have seen that again. But yeah, that's a butt kicker too. That's a killer.
Yeah. And
that is very wrenching.
Oh, Schindler's List.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't want that on replay, that's for sure.
So what do you need to start a story? And how do you start it?
That's the thing. I don't. It's a little harder because I'm so engaged in this series, and I have more than one series, but that makes it a little more complicated because a lot of these involve characters who already exist. So I have to go back and look at what I've written about them before to know, what have I set in stone many times that I wish I hadn't, because then I have to live with them. But, how much is already known about this person. So it's been a while since I've written a story completely from scratch where, it was characters I didn't know at all. But I always have to be deep inside them to get started. But frequently, I just have to have a line, I have to picture them somewhere and just start off from there.
Is that necessarily the beginning of the book?
Probably more so for me than for you. I have never understood how you can write in pieces like you do. I've tried it a couple of times, and then I just want to call and go, what are you thinking? How can you do this?
My response to that is that
linear. I have to, because
that's exactly it. I'm not a linear thinker. Yep.
Well, and that's the thing, though. For me, it's more the continuity of emotions, and because I don't plan it out ahead, it's whatever I just experienced so strongly is going to impact the next scene. So I don't know how I would write something several scenes later, because maybe just because I don't want to have to do all the cleanup work to make it fit in.
Well, it does require a lot of cleanup. But I'm also thinking characters don't necessarily have linear emotions either. So,
well, that's true.
Yeah, because it ebbs and flows, and you have backtracking and progress, and so
that's true.
So sometimes, like, I'll be writing a scene where they're making progress, and that shows to me both how it's going to fall apart somewhat in the future and what caused the problem earlier. And so I'll skip to those scenes and then reconnect them.
Yeah. Well, one of my big failings, I think, or one of the hard things for me as an author, is that I don't like conflict in life. And so I find myself sometimes avoiding it in a story, but, it's got to be there. But it's, and quite frequently, the most power in a story, what readers tell me they love about my books is the powerful emotions. But I have to go live that, and I think that's part of what makes it. It's good and bad to feel things so deeply when I write, because I don't always want to feel like that. But at the same time, I can't write it believably if I'm not experiencing it myself. But it kind of flies in the face of how much I try to keep life, calm and happy around me in my personal life. So it's kind of weird, but I do find that, you know, you really have to hit the uncomfortable stuff if you're going to draw out the emotion of the story. I mean, you got to be willing to do the tough stuff, and like you say, where they backtrack emotionally, and you know, but you don't want to do it to the point where you or a reader is going, "Oh, get a grip," you know. I mean, it's got to be very much part of them, and not something. It's, you know, it's like that old saw. If a simple conversation can solve the conflict, then it's not conflict.
Well, and I'm thinking about, you know, I think the reason we talk about the need for conflict in fiction is not for conflict's sake itself. It's because conflict pushes characters to grow, and characters growing and changing is what's so interesting to me, anyhow, in fiction.
Amen.
And that the character has to change from the beginning to the end to be, and in romance, it's to be in a better position in life. And I say my romances bring people to not a happy ending, but a happy beginning. They were two people at the beginning of the book who could not form a lasting relationship, probably at all, certainly not with each other. And what transpires in the book and how they change in the book brings them to the point at the end. But I'm wondering, boy, this would be a challenge. Is there a way to have them have that growth without conflict? Because you do have things that happen in life that are not necessarily conflict.
Well, but there's some form of trouble or discomfort.
Trouble, yes. Okay.
I mean, you have to, that really is the only way I think that we grow. We don't, you know, if everything's rocking along and we're comfortable, what reason is there to change? And generally, it's some kind of hardship in life that makes us grow and change. And I think the same thing is true of characters. It may be emotional discomfort and hardship. It may be, you know, forcing them up against, I mean, sometimes it's the most powerful when you're forcing them up against the very thing they're the most afraid of.
Yeah.
And I think that's true of us as human beings. You know, I think we all would take the easy route if we could get it, but life very seldom offers us that opportunity. So that's how we grow, and that's how our characters grow. It's just, you know, we have to be willing to, at least I know for me, I've got to be willing to live through it with them.
Do you find that happens because you write a lot of contemporary romance, but you do also write some romantic suspense. Do you have different reactions when you're writing those, or?
Well, no, because I think the same principle holds. You've got to force them into dangerous situations, and it can't be something that's easy to get out of, or it's not interesting. I mean, it's got to pose not just a physical danger necessarily, but an existential danger, you know, a challenge to the very fabric of who they are. You know, I think that's where you get the most powerful. I think it's one reason why a lot of the leading writers anymore are women as often as men, and a lot of those women came out of romance, because in the past, thrillers were really primarily plot oriented, and some of them still are, but the ones that really get us, whether they're written by a woman or a man, are the ones that engage us emotionally.
Absolutely.
You know, that really hit us in the gut, not just the mental challenge of outthinking, you know, okay, how do we get out of this situation, but, you know, what is it that's going to compromise everything you think you know about yourself or believe about yourself.
Yeah, I find myself, I'm not a big thriller reader or watcher. And I often find myself watching those, say in a movie, and thinking, yeah, so they're in danger of their lives again. Who cares? Who are these people? I don't know them. I'm pretty vicious. So
yeah.
I need to really care about the characters and
yeah. And that's when you really care about their fate, is if the author has really engaged you, or the actor has really engaged you in the character.
I wonder though if readers can, if there's a perhaps for some readers, I was just thinking of this, that they put themselves in the position of the character. So if the character isn't really too specific or deep, where you really know who this person is, maybe it's easier for some readers to put themselves in as that character and live the story.
That's interesting. I don't know. That is one thing I realized about myself. After I became a writer, I realized that I'd been doing it all my life, that when I go and watch a movie, I'm there and I come out of there feeling more like the character than myself. And that's really what I do as a writer, or hope to do as a writer, is to, engage people that deeply. To me, it's not a mental game. It's if you catch my, my heart, if you catch my gut, then, I'm there. But I'm not real cerebral about I don't hold myself apart very well, either when I read or when I write.
I do both.
Yeah. Well, my husband will sit there and watch a movie and go, "Oh my gosh, look, they didn't have that on in the last scene," and I'm going,
I see those things
too. Be quiet.
Yeah, but it would also. But I'm also thinking you're putting yourself into the characters. I must do that to a degree, because I really dislike movies where there are no characters to like, or shows.
Yes.
Or where the nice and good characters are always beaten down. I'm just, no, I'm out of here.
Well, my son really, really, really he browbeat me into watching Breaking Bad. And I said, I watched some of it. He said, "Mom, as a writer, I just know you would love this. It's incredible, the writing." And I really tried. And I watched quite a bit of it, but I felt kind of dirty after every one of them, because there was nobody sympathetic. I mean, Walter White was a little in the beginning. You sort of understood how he got to where he was. But after that, it was like, you're as big a monster as anybody else. And I just didn't get it. And so when the last season, I finally dropped off about, I don't know, season 3 or something. I just couldn't. I was streaming. I just couldn't live there anymore. But then when the final season came, I thought, well, I got to see how they wind this up. And so I started watching somewhere in the final season, and I started asking my son a question about it, and he said, "No, you cannot do that. You didn't suffer with all the rest of us for everything. You didn't earn the right to watch the finale." But too bad. I
don't want to suffer when I read books and watch.
I know.
Movies. I just don't get the appeal of suffering. What are they? Maybe a tiny bit, but to have it come out well at the end, I can take George Bailey and It's a Wonderful Life, having this glimpse of what the world would have been without him, and going through those moments of trauma, because it comes out okay in the end, and now I know and I trust that. But I don't want a movie made up only of him running around the town being miserable. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although sometimes, I can read, if a book really tears my heart out, I'm okay with that. If it really gets me that much, I can do that. But yeah, mostly I want to feel like they earned the ending they have.
There has to be some redemptive value in it to me. Like
yes,
Brian's song. He died at a very young age, and he was it's a true story. He was a great guy, but there was redemption in the friendships and the legacy that he left behind. And I often think there's another movie, Untamed Heart. Have you ever seen that?
I don't think so.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to remember. But it's set in Minnesota, and he's a young guy, and he has a heart issue, and he has a romance, and he dies at the end of it because of his heart problems. But he has he has also lived, and he had happiness, and it sort of opens the heart of the girl, and so there's redemption.
Yeah.
But I haven't watched it a second time, I will say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I have a question from another reader who says that when we finish a book, do we miss the characters? Do we think about them?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Yes. And the last, X number of pages, the last chapter or so, I just grieve while I'm writing it. And I'm kind of torn because on the one hand, it's sort of oh, thank heavens, I've made it. I got to the end. It didn't suck after all. But at the same time, I know it will never feel like that again. I will never be that close to those people again because it's such an intimate experience living through those things. When I'm writing, I'm either literally inside those characters or I'm so close I can't distinguish them from me. And so that kind of, I'm feeling what they're feeling, and it's such a wonderful, intimate experience that you just can't have even on a reread. It's never the same as that first time through. So I'm always super sad when I have to say goodbye to them, every bit as much as I'm relieved to be finishing the book. I'm glad to have the task finished and to feel good about it, but it's hard to let them go. And I find that, there's some books that I mean, all I have to do is pick it up and read a few pages, and I'm just going,
you're right there.
Oh, I want to go back there. Yeah. Yeah, I do miss them, and I love it. That's one of the fun things about writing this series is that the heroes and heroines aren't there just once. They show up again, and they may not have, center stage in another story or as big a part of center stage, but they're still there and get to check in on them. And that's, readers tell me that they really like being able to see what's happened to them, in the intervening time. So it's always nice to get to go back and hang out with them some. And that, I mean, when people always asking me, when are we going to get the next story? And it's not like I don't like living there too, because I do.
But it's also, well, two things. That having the characters show up again in later books, I love, and this has not been conscious, but as it's happened, I've started to recognize it, that what my previous characters went through and what they learned, they try to share with the later characters. And so you sort of have that echo of their book and what they learned and how they changed coming into the newer one. And I love that.
Yeah.
But it's also because of the way I write and having these pieces, there is a point at which I have to give myself up to the book, where I'm living so much inside the world of the book that I'm not doing much else. I feed the dog, I let the dog, let the dog out. But a lot of other stuff goes by the board for those. And I find I resist it. And then this is why deadlines are really good. And then there's a point where you just have to do it.
Yeah.
And coming out of it is really kind of blinking back to the world and going,
look around and go, oh, wow, all this still exists. Huh. Oh, I remember you. Yeah.
It's a strange sensation, isn't it? I used some of that in my book, Proof of Innocence, where I talk about the protagonist is a prosecutor. And so I gave her some of my experiences in going into a trial and coming out of a trial. Although I had a whole lot more, and I ended up cutting a lot of it out because it was a lot of fun to write, and it was really bogging down the action. So I take out that self-revelatory. So what do you do for research?
I generally, it's been cool how many wonderful people will share their careers or their businesses or their expertise, with me if I just ask. And I've had a lot of, I've learned a lot of things. At one point, I had my own FBI agent, which was super cool. A friend gave me an FBI agent for Christmas.
Writer.
Yeah, it was awesome. And he turned out to be, he's a really neat guy. And he got a kick out of, just knocking ideas around. And so I would come to him and I'd say, okay, here's what I think I want to have happen, or here's what I need to have happen. And here's how I'm planning to get there, but how realistic is that? And he was really pretty great about going, well, no, that won't work. That's completely not credible. But you could do this, or yeah, that part will work. So that was really fun. And there was in this Sweetgrass Springs series, I have a flower farm in there. Well, I found a flower farm about an hour and a half away from here. And so I contacted the owners, and they let me come work with them for a couple of days and just kind of took me around and showed me everything, but then actually let me get out and, work in the field with them and stuff. And it was awesome. So, you get to do a lot of interesting things. Of course, I think all of us who write any level of suspense or mystery or anything wonder if there is a file on us somewhere. Because, we're asking people a question. I got a banker to explain how to commit bank fraud to me. And, I talked to a toxicologist at the morgue about, poisoning someone, and was there an undetectable way? And, so you start making a lot of inquiries like that, and people do kind of, I'm sure, look askance, but it's fun. But I prefer, I do look things up, but I prefer to talk to real people if I can, and about locales too.
Yeah.
I don't set many things in a place I've never been. I think I've only done that once or twice, because I just think you're going to miss too much. And conversely, you get details you never would have even thought to look for by actually being in a place.
Yes. And by talking to people, because they give you things, whether it's conscious or not, it's the way they talk and their approach to things.
Yeah. It's always been an article of faith with me that we have to take some liberties in fiction, but I really don't want to write something that someone in that field or who lives in that place would read and go, boy, has she not done her homework. So, I try not to take those liberties unless I just absolutely have to. And I think research helps a lot with that.
It's so yanked because I'm a picky reader, and it pulls me out of things. I still remember two books very specifically. One got the day wrong for the Kentucky Derby, and I just thought, and another one referred to Fiddler on the Roof as a musical about Greek family life. And it just, so you lost me right there.
I read a book that talked about bluebells in Texas, and I just went, excuse me, blue bonnets. You completely lost me right there. You clearly don't know anything about Texas, because that's pretty seminal thing to know.
Yeah.
But
okay. Another question, and I tend to put these together. It was actually from two different readers, but they're connected in my mind. And one reader asks how you feel or have felt when a cover doesn't match the character description. And the other reader asks, as long as we're going for misery, how you feel when there's an error, an editing error, and when the book is coming out.
Well, okay. We go back to the color orange. My very first cover with Harlequin had orange on the cover. I should have known that. But worse, my hero had long hair, and they made him have an Elvis Pompadour kind of haircut because They didn't think that long-haired guys would sell. And it was my first hard lesson in how, and it's why I'm an indie author now, so I have control over these things. So that, I mean, I get how it's not always that easy to find. I mean, I've never seen anybody who looks like my characters look to me in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So I do get that you just have to get as close as you can, but I'm sure you felt the same way. We would fill out those extensive art fact sheets, and then it was like the art department just picked it up, threw it in the trash, and without even reading it, and went, okay, this is what I want to do. You know, the same thing with those insipid titles they used to give us. But, you know, here I am with a branded series where every single book has Texas to start the title. And it's worked great for recognition. But on the other hand, you scratch your head a lot. So it's kind of funny how, you know, the shoe is on the other foot now that we're the publisher too. I understand, I'm a little more understanding about how difficult the whole thing is. As far as editing, also, that, you know, you probably learned as I did, the more times we sent corrections back, all you did was introduce another opportunity for an error. And because we never back then got to see the final copy, then it would come out and I would read it and I would see an error and I just wanted to tear my hair out. But by the same token, I proofread my books. I have my books proofread. And still, when my launch team gets ready to read it, sometimes, you know, they'll find something. It never ceases to amaze me that I may have had 5 sets of eyes on it, and yet somebody else finds something that none of us saw. So I try to be a little more forgiving when I run across them in books. But readers tell me frequently how much they appreciate how clean my books are. I am not very tolerant. If there are very many errors, it is very difficult for me to place any kind of credence in the book because that's just sloppy to me.
Yeah. Well, it yanks me as a longtime editor.
Yanks you out of the story.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It is like the wrong day for the Kentucky Derby, even when it's, you know, typos and you can go past a few, but when there are a lot of them, and well, I see so many of them online from well-respected news organizations, and it just, you know,
I don't know if people know how to spell anymore. But, you know, spell check works for a lot of things. Yeah, of course, I think, don't you think we've kind of been ruined as readers since we became writers? For me, I have so much harder a time really sinking into a story now in a way that I used to you know, I was a very receptive reader as I was a movie watcher. But it's a lot harder to lose myself in a book now than it used to be. And I mourn that because I liked being so indiscriminate.
And I think that's a caution for anybody who's thinking, oh, I want to write a book someday. Realize what that may cost you. What do you read for fun?
Very seldom do I read anything even remotely like I write because I don't want to run the risk of, you know, I don't want to be influenced. Like when I used to write in a line, I never read any of the books in that line because I wanted to write my own unique take on things. I didn't want to do anything, you know, that was like anybody else did. I love historical romances. I love them. Which, you know, if you'd ever asked me before I started writing what I would want to write, it would have been that. I've read historical romances a lot longer than I don't know if I ever read a contemporary romance before I wrote one. I read thrillers. I read YA. I read a lot of weird stuff, you know, but I don't. But then I do have, you know, romance authors that I really love to read too, but I probably am more in fantasy, urban fantasy, you know. I kind of read a lot of different things. I read constantly. I've never understood writers who say, "Oh, I never have time to read because I'm always writing." I would die if I didn't have anything if I didn't read. I can do without TV just fine, but I can't do without reading. You know, I just start hyperventilating if I don't have a book pretty close at hand. I mean, literally, I walk around like a lost person, and it doesn't last very long before, if nothing else, I'll pick up. I mean, I have some. I say that when I'm having trouble with my own writing, I tend to not read anybody new to me, because I don't want to take a chance on. So it puts me in a bad place when I read bad writing. So I tend to go reread, you know, keeper stuff on my keeper shelves or something like that, because I don't want to. It just puts me in a bad mood to read bad writing.
I reread books. I think of them as my comfort reads, and I reread them because I know I can re-enter being a reader when I first read those books, and I can escape being a cranky reader. So well, I'll ask you, is there something that you're really good at that people don't know about?
Well, I'm a really good cook. I do a lot of needlework, which maybe because I started sharing it a little more with people, you know, on fans on Facebook and stuff. Maybe more people know it now, but I've always done stuff like that. I can play the guitar.
Oh, that's cool. That's something I didn't know.
Yeah, and I was in a group when I was in high school. We used to entertain around town, a folk group.
What was the name of it?
The Windjammers.
Oh, cute.
Yeah.
And so you sang and played the guitar?
Yep. And I used to play the guitar a lot when my kids were little and stuff. I'd take them around to nursing homes and accompany them and stuff like that.
What would you do? What would you do if you weren't writing?
Oh, I can't imagine it. I don't even want to think about it. I would be devastated. I really don't know how I would not be a writer anymore. I really don't.
Do you think that writers are in any specific ways really different from normal people?
Aside from the fact that we're all mildly insane, I don't know. I really don't. I wonder about that, you know, because people like, you know, I can remember speaking to children about being a writer, and they'd go, "That's so many words."
Yeah.
And yet for me, the challenge is to cut down my words. You know, haiku is not my strong suit. Yeah. As you might have noticed from my emails, or from this conversation, apparently. But yeah, I don't know. I think we have a lot of empathy. We slip inside other people's skins pretty easily, and we're very observant about the world, I think. But you know, there are a lot of people who are observant and have empathy. They just put it, you know, they work for a nonprofit, or, you know, they do charitable works, or they, you know, they're reporters, or they're, you know, or they're artists. So I don't know, but yeah, we're definitely wired different, though, I think.
That's interesting. I was thinking about empathy and being observant, but then we take it inside and play with it and make it something new.
Yeah. Well, and no matter what happens, if somebody's just changing a channel, I want to hear the end of that story. You know, go back. Or because I will finish it myself if I don't get to hear the end of it.
Yeah, but I usually prefer my endings.
Yeah, I hear you.
So if you could write, this is a question from a reader that I think is really fascinating. If you could write a book with any other author, alive or dead, who would you want to work with and why?
Gosh. Well, not James Patterson. He's got it plenty of co-authors.
He's got it covered.
Yeah, he's got that covered. Oh, wow. I think it'd be interesting. I don't know how. There's some people, like I just read Karen Marie Moning's latest, I don't know what you call them, her Fever series, and which are, they're fantasy, but I don't know what else you call them, and it's such a richly imagined world that I don't even know how she makes the leaps she makes, and yet I'm fascinated by them. So it might be fun, but I don't know how somebody like that would ever work with someone else. But it would be interesting to follow the paths that her mind takes. But I don't know who. There's some, really amazing writers out there. But I don't know that I don't know.
Well, I think that's a great answer. I'm really interested, and now I can't remember who answered it. I should go back and notice this. The one that got me, and it wasn't one of the first ones that somebody said, was Shakespeare. And I thought,
wow.
Well, yeah. yeah.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
For one thing, you would then know who Shakespeare really was, whether he was the one who really wrote everything, or if it was somebody else.
That's right. But, everybody thought, yeah. There are a lot of tremendously gifted authors, but I'd rather just enjoy their books. I don't really want to, I don't. It's like I don't want to deconstruct. That's what I dislike about being a writer is, deconstructing things or being too aware of things. So I don't want to see behind the curtain with them.
So somebody who's brand new to you, hasn't read any of your books, where should they start? Where's a good entry point?
Well, it depends on what they like, but if they're into the small town romance, I have a free book called Texas Secrets, which starts the whole 30 books right now, Texas Heroes series, or Texas Roots is the first book in the Sweetgrass Springs series and introduces that world. I've written some very edgy, dark stuff, all of which are in a collection called Dangerous to Love. But those are quite different from the books, the Texas books. I've done some that have a paranormal bent to them, but are still contemporary too. Texas Refuge is one of those. But anyway, those are some places.
I also tend to ask people if they have any books that they would consider hidden gems, so their usual loyal readers might not have come across those.
Yes, I have a book. I have a book called Mercy that is 3 daughters of the greatest Shakespearean actor of the day, and it's sort of. I look back at it. I didn't consciously do it, but I look back and it's almost a King Lear kind of thing, in that they're 3 daughters, but they have one of them has been lost to everyone. I mean, she's in the world, but she's not mentally. She's lost to everyone ever since the night that her twin brother was murdered. And the hero of that book is the man, or who is a boy, whom everyone thought murdered him. But it's the 3 sisters all have their stories in here, and it's a book that I really love, and it so that was kind of neat. There's a book called The Light Walker, which is both fantasy, dark, sexy, suspense, and that's the one that the sorcerer figure is in. That was fun to write. So he's someone you can't decide for a long time if he's the bad guy or he's okay. And watching him, unpeeling him like the layers of an onion was a fascinating thing to do. Plus, it's pretty steamy. But those are really different from the things I normally that readers are most familiar.
And tell the listeners how they can find out more about you and your books.
JeanBrashear.com. It's all right there. And I'm on Facebook. I only nominally am on Twitter because I just don't get Twitter. I'm on Pinterest and I'm on Instagram, but not as reliably as I am on. I check Facebook every day and Pinterest. I'm coming back to. I've left it for a while, but it's because it's too much fun. But but I started pinning again, and I'll be working on that again. But Facebook, I check every day. I just I don't Twitter. I don't know. It's too hard to have a real conversation, and I'm a real conversation person, so that's why I prefer Facebook.
I think one of the reasons I like Twitter is that when I was a little kid, we used to travel around the South. We lived in the Midwest, but my dad was a district sales manager in the Southeast. Long story. We tried to move a couple times and things kept happening. So the Burma shave sign.
Yeah.
I love those. I craved them. So I sort of think of Twitter.
I just feel, Twitter feels like a torrent coming at me, and it's like a million people screaming is what it feels like to me. So I don't get it. Clearly, lots of people love Twitter, but I just don't. I would rather be reading a book than have to follow Twitter.
At Facebook, so, I love the interaction with the readers, but it drives me nuts.
I do too.
They change their rules. I don't trust.
Yes.
I see things and then I can never get back and find them again.
Well, yeah, it's mostly that I can have better interactions on Facebook. Facebook itself, I don't care for them at all, but I like the people on Facebook, and I enjoy the interactions on Facebook a lot.
So maybe Facebook and Twitter was our first either or, but
yeah, it probably was.
So we'll go to the rest of them. Let's say opera or show tunes.
You know, I normally would say show tunes, but my mother's a big opera lover, and there are arias that I adore. But my attitude was, I kind of asked her one time, why can't we just have these incredibly sublime arias and not have all that filler in there? So give me a collection of arias. I love that. But probably show tunes.
Yeah, I can tell you're going to be difficult.
Sorry. You expected me to be on the point after all the years you've known me.
Spring or fall?
Spring, probably.
I'm gonna take that and run with it. Heels or slippers?
I love heels. I can't wear them as much anymore, but I adore stilettos.
Appetizer or dessert?
Ooh, probably dessert.
Hiking boots or cowboy boots?
I have an awesome pair of pink cowboy boots.
Pickup or sports car?
Pickup.
Day or night?
A day. In my next life, I'm going to be a night person, but not this time.
I got it covered for you.
Yeah, you got it covered. You're my night person.
House decorating or gardening?
Decorating, definitely. My husband, I love plants, but I mostly like to look at them and water them. My husband does all the hard stuff. You have to sweat too much. I'm sorry.
Paper plates or best china?
Probably china. I don't mind washing them.
Cruise or trekking vacation?
I've never been on a cruise, so I like to wander back roads, but you probably mean like real trekking.
Like hiking.
Hiking. I love walking. I walk 5 miles every single day.
Ice cream or cake?
Wow. Ice cream, I guess.
Interesting which questions are tough. Daisies or roses?
Daisies.
Hot air balloon or train trip?
I like both. I actually have done a hot air balloon ride, and I loved it.
Okay. Cat or dog?
Dog.
Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Winter Olympics or Summer Olympics?
Probably summer.
Okay. Nail polish or bare nails?
Bare nails.
Last one. You want to grab the best first or save the best for last?
I always have to do all my chores before I can sit down and have fun. That's just how I live.
So you save the best for last.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Jean, for taking this time, spending the time with us here on Authors Love Readers. And we hope you all listeners will come back next week to meet another author and find out more about the stories behind our stories. In the meantime, I wish you a week of very happy reading.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. And thanks, readers, for listening.
That's the show for this week. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for joining Authors Love Readers podcast. Remember, you can always find out more about our guest authors in the show notes, and you can find out more about me at www.patriciamclinn.com. You can also send in questions to be asked of future authors at podcast@authorslovereaders.com. Until next week, wishing you lots of happy reading. Bye.